BBC Radio Berkshire.
This evening from 7, it's Mark Forrest.
It's coming up to...
Right now, you're listening to Phil Kennedy.
A little bit at the end there. Yes, that'll be me then. Phil Kennedy with you through until 7. Then it is, of course, Mark Forrest. And later on, it will be The Miller Man. Now, they won Britain's Got Talent last year, 2014. They are Collabro. 5 sort of piece, a quintet, a singing quintet. Caught up with 3 of them. That will be Richard, Michael and Tom to talk not only about the success they've had so far since winning Britain's Got Talent, but also they've got a new tour next year, 2016. A remarkable tale because they sort of got together within a month of getting together in January 2014. They pretty much had done an audition on Britain's Got Talent and got through, and then, of course, went on to win it. Found out more from the threesome as he told me more.
You know what, actually, Jamie and Matt knew each other beforehand and kind of had this idea to put a musical theatre group together, and they found us all with that idea. But originally, we were just going to go for corporate events, cruises, just to try and make some money, be able to pay our rent. But when we all got together and started singing, we felt that something magical happened and we needed to reach a wider audience, and that's why we went on BGT.
Okay, and the conversation, because obviously you had the conversation amongst yourselves, what was that like? Was it sort of a unanimous, well, let's go for it, or were there sort of doubters, as it were?
I think we all just sort of felt strongly about it all together, actually. I think that's something, that we've all had the same ideas from day one. Yes, sometimes maybe we differ in opinions sometimes, but this one thing we all felt so strongly about that we thought, we want to take this music that we're creating, this sound, this Collabro sound, to a larger audience.
And I suppose to sort of musically uninitiated, tell us about that sound. Was it one of those moments, the first time you sang a song? Can you remember what the first piece of music was that you sang together? All of you looked at each other and went, oh, wow.
Actually, we met together on the 13th of January, in 2014, for the first time. We actually sang Bring Him Home from Les Miserables.
Yeah.
And we sang it, and we looked around the room, and we sort of thought, that sounds great. Because when you sing on your own, obviously, you might be doing a harmony line that doesn't make sense on its own. But when all 5 parts come together, something really special happened. And actually, we were going to sing that song for our first audition. But then literally 3 days before, we thought, we do love Les Mis, let's try Stars. And it just, another level came out of it, and we thought, you know what, that has to be our opening audition. But then we did get to sing Bring Him Home in the semi-final, so we were happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you think about, you just said the date there, and then by the time you won, that was no time at all, was it?
Less than 6 months later.
That is, because tell us about the process of once you go to you sort of like go to a sort of audition, don't you, initially? Is that right? So how long before you actually were in front of Simon Cowell?
Actually, we were in front of Simon Cowell on the 13th of February, so it was literally
a month. Goodness.
So the way it works was we actually sent in a video, because you can send in videos now as part of the process. So we were really lucky, and I think because the auditions were coming quite close to the end, I think we were the second to last day of auditions for the whole process. So because we only sent our video in that week, obviously the first week we met, I think we had to jump around to make sure we got in front of the judges.
Because when I think about the whole process of doing these TV programmes, I mean, it is a stress in its own right. So looking at sort of doing the programme itself, especially once you start going live, that's a whole brand new ballgame, because if you can do live TV in front of millions, no live performance is going to fox you, is it?
It was quite stressful. I mean, we all sort of got dropped in at the deep end, I guess, in front of millions of people on national television. None of us have ever done anything like that before. So, it was just madness, really.
Yes.
We performed at Wembley for the opening of the rugby this year, and even that wasn't as scary as performing live on BGT.
There you are. You just threw that one in, all right? So this year you were performing at Wembley in the rugby, all right? 18 months before you'd all got together, what were you doing? Because there's no way you're going to sing 18 months on performing at Wembley for the rugby, would you?
No, exactly. We were all doing quite normal jobs. I was working in a Japanese restaurant.
I was working at a petrol station.
And I was labouring, so yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is... I mean, because that's, in its own right, that's a lot to get your head around. The change in your circumstance, the change in your lifestyles.
I was quite lucky, actually, because I've got a degree in accounting and finance, and I started working for PwC in Reading.
Oh, right, yes.
And then after a year, that was part of my university course, so I did that for a year. And then when I went back to university, I thought, do you know what? I'm not sure if accounting is actually for me. And so when this opportunity for Collabro came up, literally straight after, so basically I graduated and then thought, I'm just going to get a normal day job and see what I can do. So I worked in the petrol station for about 6 months, and then I joined Collabro. So it's so lucky almost that, you know, PwC, although it was amazing, I didn't want to go back.
I mean, that's genuine. It really is stunning. I mean, and then everybody asks you, what is it like to face Sam and Cal? But I mean, you have 3 other judges there as well. So you're faced with them. How does that feel? That moment, the first time, because you that's the moment you're probably at the most vulnerable, because you are putting your necks on the line there in front of millions and an audience and the judges.
You know what? It is completely nerve-wracking. I remember the first time we went out onto that stage for the initial auditions. You look at them all lined up, and they still don't seem real. They're like waxwork models or something, like you see on TV.
Yeah.
You're like, there should be a screen between us. I should be what? It's a weird feeling. But to be honest with you, Sam and Cal's never had a bad word to say about us, which
Not yet, anyway.
no, not yet, which is very nice. I've actually been sad, I know, but I've actually been counting up the standing ovations we've been getting from Simon Cowell when we do corporates where he's there, or when we do charity events, and so far we've gotten to double figures. Hopefully, there'll be more to come.
Yeah, well, yes, you'd like to think so as well. And what is he like? Because obviously there is that sort of business aspect now and all that sort of stuff, but you obviously have had a chance to bump into him, and obviously there's a bit of pantomime, but there's also a sort of honesty about when he is on TV and he's saying, that's good, that's rubbish, or whatever.
He's just a very genuine person, you know. He's just tells you how it is, and you know that there's nothing in between, you know. I think that's something that speaks volumes of his character, and you know why he's done so well, because he's just very blunt at points, but can be extremely honest with people and open as well. So yeah, no, he's a great boss.
What about family and friends? Because they suddenly, I mean, you've had a lot to sort of contend with, because obviously perhaps you had plans in, say, for example, 2014, and you had to say, sorry, I'm going to go and perform for the royal family. I'm sorry. I can't join you for that dinner.
The best thing, actually, is our family are all our #1 fans. It's so great to have everyone's parents are so on board with Collabro. They wear the T-shirts, they have the mugs, they, you know, bring all their friends and family to all the gigs. And I don't think we could have asked for more, really, on that front. Earlier this year, we did a huge sellout tour. We sold over 55,000 tickets all across the UK.
Couple more things. One of which is Christmas. How does that work? Do you all sort of go your separate ways, and have you actually got a Christmas, or are you having to work over the festive season?
Yeah, we're all going to try and spend time with our families. I mean, we try and block out. I say, you know, loosely try and block out some time, but you never know what's going to come in. So, you know, we really try and see our families over the Christmas break. But actually, I remember last year when we actually did the Raw Variety performance, we planned to have a meal the next day, but then all of a sudden we had to be flown out to Hong Kong to do this big showcase out there. So we had to rush our meal, didn't we, and then jump on a plane.
Yeah.
So sometimes, you know, it does hinder that time with your family, but you know, when you do see them, oh God, it's just the best thing when you get a few days just spent with your family.
Gosh, and get away from the others, you know.
We've actually been up and down the UK turning on some Christmas lights recently over the past few weeks. But yeah, we'll definitely have a Christmas meal as Collabro, and then I think we'll all head home for actual Christmas Day. And we've got a New Year's Eve gig as well, so we're really looking forward to that, because we haven't actually spent New Year's Eve together yet, because last year we all went our separate ways, so this year it'll be quite nice to spend New Year's Eve together.
Wow, that's great as well, isn't it, to see in a new year.
Yeah.
And 2016, you mentioned the tour, you got that to look forward to. What else are you looking forward to in the new year that you're singing in?
We're actually going to America in January, which is going to be amazing. We went out there back in July. It was unreal. We had a show in New York, and it was just crazy. The amount of fans that travelled hours and hours from the south just to come and see us was incredible.
Well, we did 2 shows actually. We did one in New York and one in LA, and we did a meet and greet after the one in New York. And some people were like, "Oh, we've flown over from LA," and we went, "You do realise we're doing a show in LA?" They went, "Yeah, we're coming to that as well."
Incredible. So next year promises to be perhaps one of your biggest years. And is there a sort of, you mentioned that phrase, the journey, but what sort of journey would you like to go on? Are there things that you would still, obviously America, but is there, I suppose, big arenas, that sort of thing, or any things that you'd love to do as Collabro?
Yeah, actually, Tom mentioned earlier about performing at Wembley Stadium, and actually the next day we performed at the O2 Arena. That whole week was crazy. I think we'd love to go back somewhere like that. I think we absolutely love doing our sort of theatre tours because they're quite intimate. You can see everyone in the audience, but there is something really special about having that huge audience where you can't see anyone and all you can see is the iPhone torches making these amazing picturesque views for you guys, and obviously hearing the audience reaction. Like you said, America would be absolutely fantastic. We want our tour to do really, really well, and then hopefully in the summer we'll be able to produce a 3rd album and be able to move on with that and tour with that the following year.
Well, I hope we bump into each other again then. We come and have another conversation. It'd be great to catch up and see how your 6 months has gone. Because every time you have a 6 months, a whole heap of things changes. That's all I have to say. My goodness.
Every 6 months.
Yeah. Michael, Tom, Richard, thank you very much. Have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and see you in 2016. Thank you.
BBC Radio Berkshire.
Travel you trust.
Every 15 minutes.
And as it happens.